Alright, so I think this should be good. Let's do this a little bit more. Alright. So, year 5, season 1.2 designer's notes posted 4/8/2020. Why does it say 4/8/2020 when it's actually 4/3/2020? It's April 3rd. These are from the future, boys. No, designer notes from the future, boys and girls, and whoever else. All right, designer notes. Recently, in an interview took place where he made the following statement. So, if professional players are not happy with our proposed features, that means we're going in the right direction. It's a very nuanced statement. Um, it's one of those things where I like to say that you can't convey a very complex idea in a very simple statement that is going to be true for all scenarios. This probably is true in like 80% of the time, but most people just look at the 20% and go, this is what this is, that's the 100%. It's not true in that 20%, so therefore it's not true. It's like the joke from Anchorman. 60% of the time it works all the time. That's mathematically that's not how it works. I'll be right. I'll be honest. I don't think that's how it works. What they mean by that, and this is what they're going to clarify, because it's like, this is the statement that we made, but this is what we were trying to convey. So these are the words we said, but these are the words that we tried to convey. That's what communication is. It's like you're encoding a message into something, and then whoever is reading it or listening to it is trying to decode your intent from those words. And sometimes people use the same word, but they have different actual meanings for that. And sometimes people hear things differently and all that stuff. So there's always a scenario where I said this thing, but you heard that thing. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what they hear. And so, like, oh, we said this thing, we thought we were conveying what we were saying. You heard something else, so now we have to bridge that gap. And this is what they're trying to do. We wanted to take a moment to clarify the intention behind this with all these other words for, we tried to compact all of this into this little statement. But that's how communication works. All right. We wanted to take a moment to clarify the intention behind this. Is it true that part of our balancing effort is to push every player, professionals included, out of their comfort zone? This is not just, oh, we're pushing you out of your comfort zone for no reason. People don't learn if they're comfortable. Basically, that's the thing. It's like, oh, if you're comfortable, yeah, I'm comfortable. I only have to do this, this, and this. I can win by doing X, Y, and Z, and all I have to do is X, Y, and Z. So if we change X, Y, or Z, now I have to learn something new. I have to figure out why, X, Y, and Z worked in the first place. You're not getting better at if you. It's another adage that they used to say. The only way to get better at a game is by playing someone that's better than you. And if you're the best around and you're trying to play, um, and you don't even have to work out to beat everybody else, or you don't have to like come up with new strategies. You're just your basic default level or whatever. It'd be like it's like finding a sparring partner. You have to, in MMA, mixed martial arts, or even like Bobby Fischer. He's like one of the best all time greatest chess players in the world. And you know what? He had to play himself in order to figure out whatever. He's like, oh well, I already know all my perfect information about myself. How do I beat myself? That kind of thing. But so you have to get out of that comfort zone. You have to be able to be in a scenario where it's like you're not comfortable winning all the time, to figure out new ways to win, essentially. Because otherwise the meta gets stale, and it's just like, oh well, they brought this, and if you can predict everything from the point of view of like, oh, based off of, oh, they banned this, they picked that, 90% of the time this is how that turns out. That's not a really interesting game to watch. There's, for a game to watch or a game to play, there has to be some sort of mix up. There has to be some ability to change. You don't want to watch a game where it's like, all right, we're at the horse races, or you don't want to watch races, and we can already tell you this is the lineup based off of these things. So, and they raced and they came at that line. Well, it's not interesting. It's got to be fresh and stuff like that. So that's what they mean by it. Let's get these people out of their comfort zone. This does not mean we're going by things intentionally frustrating. Again, this is the point. It's like, we're not trying to frustrate you. We're basically trying to shake things up so that you understand you have to recalibrate what's going on. Because if the meta just starts getting to the point where it's like, it becomes a less enjoyable game for everyone involved. There has to be some sort of unpredictability. It's like Dungeons and Dragons. That's what the D20 is. That's the D20 gets you out of your comfort zone, because you can't figure out, oh, sometimes you're just gonna lose, 1%, 5% on a natural one. Sometimes you're just gonna win, natural 20. And if you don't have those things in there, it's like, all right, well, I can just make it so I always win. Like, well, then what's the point? There's no no risk essentially. There's not a real point to it. To playing a game for an enjoyment of unpredictability. You don't want just massive unpredictability where it's just like there's no point where skill or anything comes into play. Where it's just you log in and just push a button and you either win or lose. But you want to have the ability to affect the outcome, but you don't want the outcome to be static no matter what happens. This does not mean we're going about things intentionally for frustrating players, but instead make adjustments to ensure our professional players are the best at the game as a whole, and not a specific update or a meta. That is a thing, yeah. It's like, yes, when something happens or something changes, it's like, yep, if you're only good because this operator is good, and if we just remove that operator and now you're the shittiest player ever, you were not really good. You were just good about exploiting what was there for you, or not exploiting, but using that specific scenario, and you did not understand the whole outfit or general ability. Let's see here. We also have to consider the entire player base, and while some aspects of professional play will trickle down to general matchmaking, not all do. Goyo, for example. When it comes to the highest level play, we find a few things to be true what we would like to share. Professional players are the masters of the game and place significant value in mastering the game as it stands today. Naturally, this can lead to resistance when we make changes, as it can be disruptive to teams' composition, strategy, and performance, while beneficial for others. Pretty much. If you spend a lot of time learning something and spending a lot of time putting an effort to understand it, you are resistant to something that basically negates that effort. It says, yeah, you put in all this effort to understand this thing, and now that thing is gone. Well, what was that effort for? I think in those scenarios, the resistance to change is kind of set into an idea that most people get locked into this thing. So, well, I spent all this effort to learn the thing. And I think the effort in there is being misplaced, because what the effort should be doing is learning how to understand things. The effort should be focused on problem solving from these are the initial conditions, how do I get to where I want to go, rather than this is what I have, I'm only going to learn how to solve this problem to get to the end where I want, versus I want to learn how to solve all problems. And it's better to have a generalized problem solving solution than it is to have a very specific problem solving solution, which is what's going on. It's what they're trying to express. It's like, if you can only solve a math problem that includes 1 + 1 = 2, what happens to all the other math problems? That's what they're trying to make a better holistic game kind of thing. All right. Professional players have an incredible understanding of the intricacies of Siege and are able to see many things from that perspective that we may miss. That said, we have to balance their understanding of the game with data we have that is more representative of the game as a whole before we reach decisions. I have to pause this really quick. My bad. Well, actually, I just mute my microphone real quick. I'll be right back in like 5 seconds. I'll probably have to cut this out. Alright, so sorry about that. Professional players have an incredible understanding of Siege and are able to see many of the things from that perspective that we may miss. Yep, this is one of those things. Everybody's perspective is different, and while you might think, oh, this is what the way it is, someone might come like, well, I understand how you can see it from there, but have you considered these other things that are affecting that? It's like cognitive bias kind of thing. That said, we have to balance their understanding, but again, also, hey, their understanding might be different than somebody else's understanding. Kind of want understanding for everybody that mixes with like general game for everybody, regardless if it's if you. It's one of those things. It's like you can look at League of Legends, you can look at PUBG, you can look at any game where they have an esports scene. The meta and the game at the top where it's played, and the meta of the game where the majority of people, like 80% of people, play, are two different things often. And if you have that scenario, it means that the game is very. I don't know how to explain this in words. I don't have the words ready at hand. I'm looking back to Lee Sin. Where it was like, I remember that famous Riot quote: "This is the difference between good Lee Sins and great Lee Sins." You know, it's like if you have the ability to utilize something that requires such skill or precision that only like 1% of your people can do it, um, and then the thing is just crappy for the people. It's imbalanced, not just in the fact that oh, it's overpowered or underpowered, but that imbalance in and of itself, it's why people go like, oh, you're homogenizing the game. You're trying to get everything. It's becoming easy mode. He's like, if I'm putting in this effort to to learn these things and I'm doing this hardcore, why isn't my effort rewarded when you're just making it easier for all these people that don't have to put that effort? It's like that's the point though. It's just like if only 1% of people can play it to this, and that's what happens, and 80% of people can't play it to this, why is it like that? It's the same thing. If only 1% of people can be billionaires, and the rest of the world can't be billionaires and play it like this, well, why are we designing around billionaires? That's the whole thing. It's like you want to have the ability for 80% of the people to actually, or the majority of people to actually do the things you can see, but you want to have just a little bit extra that those people that are at the top can eke out. But you don't want it to be such a giant gap between the two, where it's like this operator is must ban, must pick all the time, but 90% of the people can't play it to the point where it has to be must ban, must pick. They just like pick it up and they run at stuff and they die because they don't understand the intricacies in the pro, the league, why certain things are there. Anyways, getting focused on that. All right, we recognize the importance of providing these high-level players with input into our balancing process. We have plans to just how we respond to the feedback they provide and explain situations where we make decisions that is contrary to the input detailed below. I've run into this so many times. It's like, well, why did you ask me if you don't want to do it? Well, we asked you because you might have something we didn't think of. But if all your input is something that we already thought of, then we're gonna continue going on with the thing that we did. So it's like, what's your input? Well, 1 + 1 = 2. Well, we already thought about 1 + 1 = 2, so well, we've already considered that. But if you came in, it's like, what's your input? Well, pi is, the radius of a circle squared times pi is the circumference of the circle. Well, we hadn't considered that, so maybe we should. I don't know if that analogy made sense, but it was trying to be like, this is a thing where it's like, they asked for input, they got it, but they'd already considered the input. They just hadn't communicated, oh no, we'd already considered this input and this is the reason why we're changing. And people were like, well, why did you ask for this input if you didn't use it? No, we'd already considered it. You were giving us details that we'd already thought about, kind of thing. And anyways, I don't know if that's what's happened, but that's what that statement communicates to me, because I've been in that scenario before. To a point where I would like to express this kind of sentiment. We listen to pro feedback, but also monitor and gather data from every aspect of the game, their matches included. We make decisions on the best course of action with their feedback, player feedback, and data in mind. All right. This is also the thing. It's like, we listen, but we also listen to other things. This is also a caveat. All of this is caveated by the fact that, Ubisoft isn't perfect. They will make mistakes. Sometimes they make mistakes and all the time, But nobody goes in going, I'm trying to make a mistake. This is like, we're trying to express, this is our mentality. This is where we're coming from. If you can understand this, you can probably understand our decision-making process. And if you can understand our decision-making process, you can understand probably how we got to the point where what we weren't considering, what led to the mistakes that we made, kind of thing, if that makes sense. Anyways, we would like to outline how we plan to address the concerns raised over the recent changes in our previous communication. We will improve our communication around balancing changes. These were always statements from corporations that I don't really hold a lot of stock into, because it's like, we will improve our communication. If you're telling me you're going to improve your communication, it's half the time you're like, all right, I'm telling you I'm going to do this thing, but I don't do it, whatever. I'd rather I want to see what they're doing, rather, or give me examples. We have improved our communication by doing this, 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 or this. We will. To include additional context when we make decisions on an important topic and are in disagreement with our professional players. This will provide everyone with a common starting point for discussion. Please note that this is not feasible for every topic. We will duel for more critical topics, for like Jaeger becoming a 2-2. That's a change I want to talk about. We will provide context for which sections of our player base changes are targeting. We will provide designer notes Updates in advance of changes being deployed on the test server so our players can have more context and insight into the thought process behind the proposed changes, as opposed to when those changes go live next. This is kind of thing. It's like, this is why we're changing the thing. In some ways, that helps. In other ways, it's like it invites discussion that's not productive. Well, you're changing this thing. Well, did you consider this thing? And if they have, what's the response? Yes, we did. Uh, well, why isn't this thing like? It becomes a debate, to the point of like, they have information that is not fully able to be revealed, for whatever reason. Either it's just like, if they reveal this information, it's comes against, like, well, all of these people are playing this or all this like that. It's some sort of, when I used to work in the gaming industry, it's like you can't explain to, like, you can't just like, all right, every question has to be answered. Not really. There are a lot of people that are like, well, where does this information come from? It's like, well, I can't just produce all the logs for you, and that would, give proprietary information and or whatever to show you where I'm basing this information. At some point, you're going to have to just trust that they have this information that they're basing it, and that they're not making an irrational decision for no reason at all, kind of thing. Um, but they will try to give you the information about why they're making it. Anyways, let's get on to the balancing matrix and top operator bands. Win delta per operator versus presence. I like this. I love these maps. I think a lot of people that read these maps are missing the watermarks here. Overpicked too strong, underpicked too strong, overpicked too weak, overpicked too weak, or underpicked area. So this is win delta in the games. How often these operators are winning. So if for every Finca game that the operator existed in, Finca has a win rate of 52%, basically. It means, like, all things being equal, if Finca's in the game on an attack or the match, 52% of the time, Finca wins, basically. Glaz in the match 48% of the time, Glaz wins. That kind of thing. So that's their win rate. This is also, a skill thing too, or just the maps. Like, these snipers down here, more of the maps are becoming close quarters combat. Snipers don't have a whole lot of angles on a lot of things, and so it's like, it's very subjective to a lot of different things. This is just saying, all things being equal, we're just looking at specifically, if the operators enter the match, what happens, and this is their presence in the match, how often they're in those matches. These guys are less than 10% of matches, but in the matches they are in, this is their win rate. Ash, 60% of the games, you're almost always going to find an Ash, always going to find a Zofia. Always, they're picked all the time, and these are their win rates. So Ash just has a high win rate. Why? Because she rushes. She opens up walls of sight very easily from range, and she can get to. This is more along the lines of, if you're fighting not high prep time operators, like Capcan. If the defending team picks a team of very high prep time operators, and you get 40 seconds of prep time, and everybody's like, oh, with Capcan I gotta run around, put all these charges down, I forgot to do my reinforcements or whatever, like this. Or you pick a castle, and whoever's castles off everybody else, so they can't run out of the site really quick before doing their reinforcements. And it's like, so Ash exploits that massively, because she's like, oh, you ran out of prep time, 40 seconds in, I'm going. And if you're still doing your reinforcements, let me throw a charge on that wall that's still soft as it's going up. Bam! Now suddenly you have a hole and you can't reinforce it, and it's that's what's being exploited here. And Sophia's pretty much the same thing with her impact grenades and concussion grenades. As Ash, it's just different weapons, different speeds, different kind of things here going on. But that's where this is coming from right here. Win delta operator per presence. This is for defenders. Yeah, platinum and diamond. These are also platinum and above. These are higher ones. Like, this is where people are very aware of what the operators do. Like this, if you take these deltas and you take them down to like gold, silver, bronze, or like this, these are going to change massively, especially with certain operators, because a lot of people will pick the operator in copper, bronze, silver, and low gold and like this, and they don't even use the gadget. They just pick it for a gun or something like that. And I'm like, why are you picking the operator if you're not going to use the gadget? There's a very specific reason for picking an operator, and the gadget is primarily there. If you're picking a gun, for every person there is one best gun, depending on that person's recoil control, that muscle memory, that the fire rate, and all this stuff. You could isolate whatever statistics you need about a person to pick the best gun, and then you just don't care about their gadget. Well, once you do that, you pick that operator. But the people down there not even doing that kind of thing. Anyways. All right, Platinum Diamond Jaeger. Look at this. 90% of the games. Why? Because Jaeger's utility is so insane. The ability to nuke Ash charges, nuke Sophia charges. You can protect your high prep time operators from stuff like that. You can also flashbangs, frags, all that kind of stuff. Smoke grenades. This is just the utility of his gadget and what it does is massive. Well, mine is a similar utility, but it doesn't stop the grenade from detonating. It just moves it and holds it and delays the detonation, which means it's somewhat good and it can be used situationally, but it's not just, all right, just slap this down, the next two grenades that come through here, it's gone, instantly. And people are like, all right, also being a 3-speed, also having had a really good rifle, he's just like a massive combined package of things that are really great, and it's just that's why he's in 90+% of the games, because he defends so well, and that's part of the reason why it's like they're dropping the Jaeger 2-2. Even at 2-2, he's still gonna probably be picked 80 to 90% of the time, just because of that utility. And that's the combination of what's going on. It's like you have the utility plus this, and it's still good. Well, you can take away this and try to balance it. Well, you can take away this. At some point, he will come back down if you just keep nerfing him. And it's a sad thing, why you got to nerf him. But it's either nerf him or just buff everybody else. But if you buff everybody else, you don't have a whole long. Well, if only one person's the outlier, it's like that squeaky wheel kind of thing. This is the one you need to fix. You can't just go, let me just massive changes to everybody else rather than just putting this guy back in line. It's much easier to just go boom than to go move that all over there. Chanka. Oof. Why? You're over here. This is going to change. Once the rework for Chanka comes out, I guarantee you Chanka is going to be up here somewhere. And I make that statement as a prediction purely based on a couple things. One, area denial. On demand. His Molotov cocktail launcher is a massive thing. Especially it's going to be in games where you hit that 15-second kind of thing. Goyos are already being used at that scenario. It's like, 15 seconds and you can't come across that door if I pop that Goyo, and you can't get in, and that's where your last set of attackers are, or with the diffuser or whatever. That's where Goyo is supposed to be used in that scenario. Japan, pop that. Well, we just won the game because they can't cross that fire in the next 10 seconds, and they won't get a pick, and then I can just hold the door for the last 5 seconds or whatever. But this is area denial. I don't have to pre-set up that Goyo. Oh, it's 15 seconds till the end of the round. They spent too much of their time running around, and let me just fire all the entrances and hide, and we win. So that's where that's going to go. The other thing is he's going to have a mobile LMG like Maestro, and most people are like, Maestro, why is the LMG good? And the reason is because it's area denial. The ability to just keep firing at a door for 5 seconds and prevent anyone from entering that door is massive. That's one of those other things. The reason Maestro is like awesome. It's like, all right, they're just not coming through that door. I'm just gonna hold down the button. Please note that we're using presence gauge to populate an operator. This notion had to be instructed to reflect the implementation of the pick ban. Presence definition picker and operator were not banned. Win delta. Okay, it's just ban rate top 10% attackers. Why is Jackal still banned? But they nerfed Jackal. He's useless. No, they nerfed his ping. What you see, you ping it. It's not the same. You don't get a five pings, and it doesn't last for X amount of time off the thing. That's a nerf. The reason you bring Jackal is not to ping, though, is so you can see where you're going. It's like, I look through here and I see footprints. I know that someone's been through here. I know that I have to watch out for that left flank just because I saw the footprints. That's why you ban Jackal. Your roamers are just basically so hosed by just the fact that, I can look at this thing and I can say, someone's been through here. I know the Cav is over in that general direction. Well, Cav is actually the natural predator Jackal, because when she's silent stepping, she doesn't leave footprints, so you can get by that. But every other roamer, Vigil and all that, and any other person that roams, they can't set up ambushes anymore. They can't lurk because you're just like, someone's over there. I won't be getting flanked because I know that there's someone that can come from behind. I don't have to ping them. I just see their footsteps. That's what the power of Jackal is. At low ranks though, when people aren't making call outs just like that, again, copper, bronze, silver, low gold like this. If you don't have someone saying, "Oh, look, there's somebody on this side of the map. I can see their footprints running off to this thing," Jackal becomes, oh, he's super weak and like this. At high levels, though, in the platinum and above, in pro rate like this, they'll see it. As soon as Jackal sees it, the entire team knows about it, because it's Jackal's like, hey, I'm seeing footprints over here, so watch out for the flank on this side, or if you're going into that door, watch out for that thing. Thatcher, again, he is very good. Most people think he's underrated. Most people only use him as hard breach removal. Blow out the mutes, blow out the Cades, blow out the bandits. That's, I want to say, 75% of his utility, but the other 25% is it's the Lee Sin mentality. This is what separates good Thatcher players from regular Thatcher players, is the ability to blow up goose, to clear an entrance, to disable yokais, to make sure that the cameras of a site are disabled, rather than having to go in there and individually pick them out. It's like, oh, we've got the smoke in there, throw it in. Evil eye is disabled. Now we can actually smoke plant without having to worry about some evil eye calling out, oh, they're planting like this. That's where that last thing. I've seen so many people just use all 3 Thatcher grenades on the hard breach, and it's like, why? If you're using more than 2 on that hard breach, you've already screwed up. Blackbeard, purely for the at the high end, it's because he wins peak battles, and it becomes a lot of peak battles at that end. It's like, all right, he has an extra basically headshot in him. It's somewhat limited by the fact that Ubisoft sometimes breaks the shield bug, where it's like, I've had scenarios where I've seen it, where the shot that would be blocked by the shield, if it would kill them, just goes straight through the shield. That's a bug. That shouldn't happen. It should be blocked by the shield regardless of the damage it does. The shield has an extra, whatever. The whole point of that is that if it all comes down to everything being equal, and it's just who gets the first shot off first from like this, Blackbeard is a great equalizer in that, because it doesn't matter who gets the first shot off. Your first shot is going to be into my shield, and then my shot is going to hit your head. So that's why he's banned 25% of the time up there. Most people don't know how to use this, and then most people in solo queue and low rank games like this are also, again, not fully. I've seen so many people in Blackbeards at low ranks from like that don't even put their shields on, or when their shield breaks, they don't replace it. It's like you're picking an operator that has this inherent advantage, and you're not using it, and so your win rate is going to go down because of it. Monty, shields. This is also, Monty is the reason why Clash is banned too. Just the ability to see something, it distracts you, and it's reporting on you. It's a mobile camera. It's a mobile wall reinforcement like this, and you can't do anything about it. And in a 1-1 situation, Monty pretty much almost always wins. If any good Monty will do that. Maverick, kill holes. Oof. Information and the ability to be silent steady. Anti-roam, no ban. This is, I don't. Even if you're banning nothing, or if you're not banning something because you want to use what you would normally ban, you should just ban something else, something that your team was never going to use, but that the other team might use. And you should know, or at least be aware of what your team is going to use. Like even in this, it's like, all right, well then ban, what's the least pick attack operator here? Ban Glass. Why? Because the other team might have a Glass main, might know all the angles from like this. Even if you're never going to do something or like this, just ban the thing you guys will never use. Thermite, hard breach denial, Capitao. Again, these two are kind of the same thing. You can clear out. It's area clear. You use Cap's fire to like clear them out of a site, and then you lock them out of the site, kind of thing. Those go hand in hand. So if you need to push people out of an entrenched position, this is much better than Buck, because you don't have to expose yourself as much by Buck, and you have better lines of sight that are able to do this, and you can do it from a farther range. But it's just anti-entrenchment. It's like, you're a turtle. Well, you know what? You're in your shell, but if your shell is on fire, you can't be in there. All right. Defense operators, top bans. Let's see here. Mira. Oof. Mirror and clash. These should both probably be the same thing, just because of the utility that they bring. It's basically, I want to say it's slightly different because you can see through clash versus you can't see through a mirror. It's the ability. Once you place a mirror, you have to figure it out. I mean, you have to either have something behind it to see what's there, or you have to break it, because the ability for them to see one way gives them so much information. It's these two go hand in hand. Like this all goes right here. This is an invisible camera. This is a camera that's visible, but you can't see what's behind it, and it can kill you. And this is a camera or a wall that you can see through, and you can just like, all right, well, we're ready to, if you're looking at me, you're not looking at the person behind me or the person that's going to sneak up behind you. If I'm drawing your attention, that's these are all creating opportunities for picks, for kills. Right here, visible cameras, information operator, kind of in the same here. Hard breach, denial, and very good utility. Very specific thing. Hatch denial too. It's one of the other things too. Area denial, and again, this is what I'm looking at from the point why all these are banned. Legion, invisible mines. It's area denial, information. Cav, information operator. Most people are like, oh, like that's the whole point though. Cav is the same thing as Valkyrie. She tells you where the enemy is. It's just for less limited time and more, whatever. And you have to get the interrogate out first. Valk just kind of does it in a less, whatever manner, less intensive manner. And you have to have somebody that's dedicated to watching the cams versus Cav can just sneak a pick back. Cap can. Cap can and Legion go the same thing. It's basically, most people are like, oh, you're using it for traps like this. No, what I'm using it for is because they either have to break the trap, they have to go through the trap, or they have to deal with the trap in some way. They go around the trap. It's basically limiting their options, what they can do to get through that door. And if they break the trap and you have someone that's there, it's like, oh, I heard the Capcan over there. I heard the EDD. That means, oh, I know that somebody's coming there. Now I have to focus my attention over there. And I can, take my attention off here. Whereas, if you have theoretically, you have a room with 4 doors, and you hear, oh, and it's 1v1, and you hear, oh, the Capcan trap, it's a big room, but it's dark, so nobody can see anything. And you're like, all right, so you're inside of it. Like, all right, where are they coming from? But you hear the Capcan trap go off on the west side. Like, I can ignore north, east, south. I can focus 100% of my attention on the west side because I know that's where they're at now. Same thing with Legion. But a lot of people don't understand that and don't realize that that's what this is. Same thing with barricades. People think, oh, barricades, you just put them up and like, no, the barricade is not there to stop them. The barricade is there just to let you know. It's like a Legion mine kind of thing. It's like, oh, they're breaking that. I have to pay attention to that. If the barricade isn't broken, I don't have to pay attention to it. But I will see people hold angles and look at barricades where there's nobody there. And they're like, oh, because I can't see. It's like, no, that's the whole point of it, though. Anyways. All right. Changes to operators. All right. Ying. Added a smoke grenade. This is going to be super. Ying is going to go up pick rate. Why? Because she can now smoke and flash on her plans. She can basically deny all the information about what's going on in there. Remove the Claymore. Claymore was kind of like situational in the first place. I mean, it's just to prevent a rotate, really, or to like lock out a certain area. Again, it's like a barricade kind of thing. They have to deal with it before they can come through there to prevent you from getting flanked. But this right here is like, all right, Ying is a premier, not premier. It's just a really good plant op. Goes along with Gridlock because it's like, all right, Gridlock smoke and tracks. It's like they can't move in, and they can't see you while you're planting. Ying, well, they can't see, and then once they can see, all they see is smoke. Where? This right here, and we're upping your gun damage, and we're giving you more candelas. Right here. Oh, let's go back up to this. This, all right, definitely gonna have a 1% increase. Maybe back up to here, and then maybe up to here. I'm making a prediction right here. Here to here. Somewhere in here, once people figure out how to use it, because these changes are significant. He's not where I'd like to be in terms of presence with their wind delta. Like this, adding an extra gun, should strengthen their performance, give it more option when pushing towards an objective, replacing your claymore, because they already did the candela change, where it's like, all right, it makes it more useful and it's not just completely random kind of thing. Which brings the team. A lot of extra teammates. You want to see, it's a very support base to increase the level of synergy deploys when spearheading. At the same time, smoke grenades use black mirrors and deployable Goyo shields. Yes. Expect to be much more used faster when rushing, which won't rely as much on droning, thanks to improved primary and secondary gadgets. Her LMG has also received a damage boost, reinforceability when duels. Despite decent stats, her gun does not quite perform where we would like. We are monitoring performance from Discord if needed. I don't know offhand what the rate of fire and what the recoil is on it, but there's a part of this I think is because it's I'm pretty sure that the stats are like assault rifle, but it's based off of an LMG build. So the LMG inherently has like a higher ADS time and a higher thing like this, but it plays like an assault rifle. So it's basically like a bad assault rifle. So they're trying to make it more competitive into this. The difference is, I think the magazine capacity isn't even like full LMG. It's like just it's like a double assault rifle magazine versus like LMGs usually have like 60 plus. I think this is like 45 bullets or something. Let me go look. Hold on a second. LT95 LSW stats. T95 LSW. What's the magazine capacity? Mobility. No, it's 81. Why am I thinking it's like that? Oh, you only have 2 refills, 81 plus 160. The reload time isn't as bad as most LMGs. What's the rate of fire? What? I cannot find the rate of fire on this. Alright, well, I'm going to do focus on that. But I like this. Guns to M12. Added Razor holographic sights. Razor holographic. Are those the good ones or the bad ones? Search. Copy. R6 Siege. Images. Oops. Go back. Ooh, is it the Vortex? Vortex is pretty awesome. Like the amount of area on your screen that it includes with that sight box is less than the other holographics. Oh, just like yes, it is the good one. It's the Vortex. We set off the gun to quickly. This I love because I'm constantly using the reflex, but I would love to use a holographic on it, especially a Vortex. This is actually going to be. Most people won't really care about this. I will. Quality. It's not dressing the gun in the operating performance. Quality of life. That's the thing, though. If it's a better quality of life, it will impact the gunner operating performance. Yes, this needed to happen. The amount of damage on that thing was like, it's the slug shotgun, 2 shots, bam, bam. Especially if you're really good with that. I'm just glad they never gave it a muzzle brake. If they gave it a muzzle brake, it would have just like double tap to instantly give somebody. I also like this change because a lot of people are afraid of using the TSG to break hatches, to open up lines of sight in a wall, to make a rotate hole, because they had such limited ammunition. And it takes, depending on where you're doing it, 5 to 10 bullets to make a proper hole or whatever with the shotgun. With the TSG or TCSG. So this should give you more options in terms of like, we only brought Goyo or Arcade, and everybody else has nitros and no shotguns or whatever like this, but we needed this hole or that hole. This should give you more utility in that regard. Proved to be an extremely powerful weapon. Yep, again, 2 body shots. That's really. Yeah. We've monitored the performance against this. We decided to reduce damage in order to even the odds during duels. Comp stitch radical change. We've added 10 extra slides to K and Goy pouch. F's change. 2 shots will put any 1 armored into a DV9. 3 armor will require 3 shots to get the same status. Yep. I agree. Jaeger. Yes, this again, Jaeger. I don't think this is enough. Like this might drop his pick rate down to 80%, maybe 90% from 95 plus right now. The issue is not his ability or something like this. It's not his speed, his gun, his anything else. It's his utility. What the ADS system does. Again, like I said, like we've turned President Woodell for incredible recently. Fine. Yeah, they nerfed his gun. They originally took off the ACOG off of it. They nerfed his gun, and it led to a reduction of KD. But he's still being picked, and he's still winning because of what his gadget does. hmm This is why he's picked. This is just bonus on the time. You could make Jaeger a one speed and give him uh, a what is it, a deagle, and what's another, like a shotgun. Yeah, just a deagle and a shotgun, and you would still have a Jaeger pick rate of 80% plus, just because of his incredibly useful utility. He would just not roam anymore. He would be like, all right, I'm on site. You can entrench me out with grenades, and I will just deny your ability to come into this door. And he would still be there, and that's huge. If you can force them to not come through a specific area, you can focus your other efforts on um, blocking out that one. Our drive is to build more improved core mechanics of our operators. We're creating new synergies and interactions, making ample room for everyone to have a distinct role to play. More options still entail from areas. Okay, Mozzie, remove the super shorty. This flavor wise, it's like why? Because the super shorty is an Australian operator weapon. Came with Mozzie and Gridlock, and then they gave it to Castle because they wanted to improve his utility. But now they're using Mozzie because Mozzie was too good with this. And it's like, he was like, speed, very just primary, this is a great roamer, be like this, compare with mute, joining against Mozzie becomes extremely treacherous, tough at all, it's super prized, nitrous cells, extremely dangerous. Removing the super shorty from blood, we aim not only on bomb sites, but also address capacity to create escape routes on the fly while roaming. This, I've seen so many people that it's like, I need to go somewhere, but I can't. I wish. The super shorty is an incredible thing. There are so many operators that I wish would have a shotgun secondary. Just because of that, just because of the ability to create escape routes, to do whatever, to move or like this. But not everybody has it. The ITAS and the super shorty, I think, are the only two shotgun sidearms. Technically, you got the bailiff, but meh. I agree with it. It's just flavor-wise, it just seems odd. All right. Buck, remove frag grenades. No. I know why they did it, because it's super good. Because it's always like, all right, I'm gonna buck from below or above. You know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna drop this frag grenade on top of your head to force you out from an angle that you can't really retaliate against. Added claymore. This I kind of like though, because one of the problems with Buck, and this I think will actually make me play Buck more, is that I'm usually the flank or the one man out, while four of my team are pressing whatever, and I'm trying to distract, to create opportunities. And while this is happening, I get fragged from below because I can't look up and look horizontal at the same time, or look down and look horizontal at the same time. And I've often wished that I had a claymore to protect me from getting a flank, or protect me from getting flanked while I'm basically opening up the floor or the ceiling of a site. Oof, I love this right here. Oh God, thank you so much. I've often wished I had just one more round, or at least whatever. I've ran out of so many skeleton key rounds so many times, and it's like, all right, well, I've opened up the thing, and now I can't do more. And it's like, I need one more or two more, just this. I don't know if this is actually do what they want, because it'll actually want it reduces his ability to remove people from entrenched sites because of the frag grenade. You could basically buck a floor or a ceiling and just toss a frag grenade, and then they'd have to move if they didn't have like Jaeger defense or Wool Mine defense from like this. So once you they're hiding in that corner, you know where that corner is. You just open up the ceiling or the floor and them, throw them frag, and then they're pushed out of that site across the sight lengths of any angles that the team above is holding or below is holding or whatever. But the trade-off for that was you were not safe when you did that. If they had a roamer like a cav or a vigilance like this, they were most often going to flank you while you were doing that. So they're like, you can't do it as well. You can't do what you were designed to do as well, but you can do it safer. And instead of using a frag grenade, now you just use your skeleton key to force them out. So I don't know. I don't know why this is going to change. This is going to wash out. Again, I'll play this much more just because I like this change. I like the ability to protect myself from flanks, and I like the ability to use my the skeleton key much more. You could ride with faggots that were extremely strong. The current mana sledge can be used so much that you cannot breach ceilings or upper walls. However, yes, that's one of the reasons why I play Buck over sledge. It's like, yes, you can breach all this stuff and you have a hammer, but you can't go up. And that is a huge thing in vertical play, the ability to go up or down. So you just have the operator choice. Between an excellent downward attacker and a versatile. No. This is not the choice that you're going to have to make. Excellent downward attacker and a versatile sufferer. You've basically, what you've done is you've taken away his ability to entrench, to force people out of entrenchment exceptionally well, and you've made him a safer pick. And being a safer pick generally leads to a higher win rate. So, let's go all the way back up. Where was Buck here? Buck, yeah. Alright. Yeah, I predict from here, probably here, somewhere up in here. You're going to go on this side because he's safer. He's not going to get flanked and die as easily. Definitely like a 1% maybe. Somewhere in this area right here. It's going to go up and over. And last, here we go. Goyo. Remove one Vulcan shield. Oof. This, you need all three of those at low ELO, low MMR, because people don't know how to use them too much. This is the difference. What I'm trying to say is, like, the gameplay is entirely different. There's two different games. There's Rainbow Six up at high and Rainbow Six down low. This is a change that's needed up high, but that's going to turn Goyo into El Basura on the bottom. It's here. See, right here. Goyo performs very differently on the level of play, 100%. As you can see in the balancing measure, he's not performing greatly. He suffers from a low presence, low Wintito. But if you look at the Pro League, he's almost always brought the Pro League because they use him specifically for what he is. He's area denial on demand, basically. This is change structure for its current program, which is currently easily heavy. Area denial on demand. The other thing is that for Goyo to work in the way that he works, you have to have a team that's coordinated, that has practiced the tactics, that understands when to detonate the Goyos, why they're there, what they're doing, for what their purpose is. You jump into a solo queue game and you're just like, you got four people, you can't make any assumptions about their level of play, their level of tactics. You just, if they're this well, there are some people that are in plat that are there purely on their aim flick skills. They have no map knowledge, no sense of decision making of, when should I rotate? Should I repeat the same angle? You'll see them do the same thing because every time I repeat, my reflexes, my lag, and all that stuff, it makes it better. I mean, like, I'm better than most people. And so they'd never have to develop the other skills that make a complete and whole player. That's why it's like, I'm good at the game. Well, what are you good at? There's more than one thing to be good at this game. And I've seen some people that, like, they think they're good at the game because they're good at only one thing, and they use that thing and they lean it as a crutch to get better. Or they like, I can kill everybody. Well, you can kill everybody but still lose the round, so it doesn't. Anyways. Getting attracted. This change direct towards the current flow. Yeah, okay. We hope to all have some frustration stemming from this increased influence at professional levels. Yeah, so this is purely, basically, a Pro League change. But since Pro League plays on the same thing as everybody else, they have to. It's gonna wash down. I really think that this is this needs to be examined from a different perspective, as into what the shield is doing and how it is doing it. But that requires a really heavy introspective redesign. This is like a band-aid fix. Let's slap this on, see how it works, versus whatever. All right. Well, I think that's it for this. All right, try at least. Okay. Thanks for watching, and y'all have a nice night or day or wherever time zone you're at, wherever you're watching this. All right. Bye.